But I'm pleased to say that there is another approach, and it's one that I believe in and that many disabled people believe in. It's called the social model of disability. It was developed by the disability rights movement in the 70s and 80s. They wanted to find a more liberating way of understanding disability. And it says, you know, we're not disabled by our diagnosis or by a health condition. You know, in my case, by the fact I've got cerebral palsy or dyslexia. We're actually disabled by the way society is organized around us and the barriers that it creates. They're the things that disable us, and these can and must be removed. Okay, there's a really useful little animation there with a link. So if you want to look that up and have a look at that, then I'll make sure that link's available. So it's society that disables us through barriers. Okay, and these can be physical barriers, so the way buildings are designed, you know, curbs, steps, or the way layouts are, you know, how much space we've got. Could be the way in which we communicate. So it could be, you know, not having British Sign Language interpreters, not having Braille for those that need to use it, or Easy Read, which is a picture-based language for those with learning difficulties and communication issues. Helping them to communicate more easily. And then the other barrier is attitude. So not worthy, worth less than a non-disabled person, or incapable. So, you know, one of the biggest barriers I've seen really is attitude. So the assumption, for example, that you know, when I lived where I'm living now, one of my neighbours just, oh, where you off to? And I was dressed how I am today with a shirt on. I said, well, I'm off to work. And a long pause. You're off to work? Said, yep. But you're and then long pause, wheelchair user? Yeah. I've still got work. I've still got bills to pay, things I want to achieve, holidays I need to pay for. You know, if I need to pay for anything else, it's me that's going to pay for it. And it's these barriers that stop disabled people from taking part fully in society, and they actually reduce our quality of life. So disabled people have a problem because of discrimination and a loss of human rights. Therefore, society is an issue for the individual. Sorry, disability is an issue for society, not the individual. And we've actually had three fairly recent examples, which some of you may be familiar with. So Network Rail, as a mark of respect to the Duke of Edinburgh when he passed, they grayscaled their website, so made it black and white. Now, what this did was it meant those who needed to use screen readers or anyone with a visual impairment were unable to access the website overnight. And it became, you know, really, really difficult or impossible to actually use their service because of this. So it's really important to think about web accessibility, digital accessibility. We have W3C, web accessibility standards. So it's really, really important. Then another example is the UK's lack of providing a British Sign Language interpreter at pandemic briefings. So this meant that deaf BSL users were not able to get briefings in their own language, and this led to the Where is the Interpreter campaign. And we are one of a very few number of countries that didn't provide a sign language interpreter. And then the last example is the most recent one from COP26 conference. So the Israel's Minister for Energy and Water is a power chair user, and she was unable to access the conference completely because of lack of wheelchair access and lack of thought around access itself. There were some other access issues about placement of interpreters and things to do with COP26. And it's the assumption, again, that, you know, we're not going to have a disabled person at the event, or, you know, we don't need to think about this. And some of it is unintentional, but a lot of it is ingrained in society, and that's why we need to be aware of it and remove as many barriers as we can. 6 things to improve your inclusion on your board. So first of all, make disability part of the discussion. It's often a forgotten element of equality, diversity, and inclusion. Just make the conversations regular at board level, and also consider having a champion, not to make them responsible for disability, but just to make them responsible for making sure things get done when you decide actions. Show that you're inclusive. So tell stakeholders, members of your organization, the community that you serve, what you're doing to be inclusive, what information is available, what you can offer, what your policies and procedures are. How can customers and staff request support and reasonable adjustments? Okay. Another example is, can you be an ally? So if you're a board member, you're in a leadership role, and can you set the example? Can you, champion equality, diversity, and inclusion? Can you share best practice? If appropriate, and you've got a long-term health condition, a disability yourself, can you disclose? Are you happy to disclose that? And ask your kind of suppliers and supply chain to do the same. This is what we're doing to be more inclusive. Do you value your the connection you have with us? What are you doing to do the same? Disability is so diverse, and it's often tricky to know what's needed to be inclusive. Consider getting some external support from specialist providers. There are lots out there. I'm one of them, but have a look. There's lots of different organizations out there, consultants out there for various different things. So please have a look and consider external support. Look at your own data, understand what you have, what picture you can build, whether you need to gather any more data, and then that helps you build an accurate picture of your organization and also the community you serve in order to be more inclusive. And the last one here is really important. If the pandemic's taught us anything, it's that we can be flexible. For many, many years, as a reasonable adjustment, disabled people would ask, can we work from home? Can we work flexibly? And often would be met with, oh, it's not possible, it's not cost effective. And yet, because of a pandemic, it's virtually happened overnight. So I'm just saying, take the positive learnings from the pandemic, and can you apply these to the best parts of your board? So can you offer hybrid opportunities? Can you do virtual sessions to improve knowledge and understanding? There's lots of different things you can do.